You're listening to The Wells Report, which will return in 1 minute. The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is The Wells Report. Good morning. My name is John David Wells. It's midweek already, the Ides of May 15th, year of our Lord, 2024. On this broadcast, we report the news, honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. In short, we de-propagandize the mainstream media. We do make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion, both yours and mine. Let's compare. Let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Lots of news bombarding us in this election year. Now 5 months away from perhaps the most pivotal election in the nation's history. What's really bad about all this, and I'm just going to start off with this comment. What's really bad about all this is I've said that for the last 3 or 4 presidential election cycles. And I find that ridiculous. The brinksmanship of the political parties, and I'm not talking about one or another, I'm talking about both of them. The political process in the United States, the brinksmanship that's being thrown against the people of the United States focuses the nation's attention on the political process. And the political process is not worth the attention we place on it. It shouldn't be. We should not be in a position where we hear one political party saying that the other political party is trying to get us into World War III. We shouldn't hear from one political party talking about another political party that their de facto candidate is going to be a despot that's going to end democracy. Politics is just not that important. People know what's right. People know what's wrong. The shrill screaming back and forth is damaging this nation, and I, for one, have had all I need, all I want, all I will ever want. I need these politicians to realize that they are in service to the United States, not the lord and masters of the United States. I need people to concentrate, the people in the political process inside the Beltway, to concentrate on the issues instead of concentrating on throwing out dire what ifs. If things don't happen, my God, if we don't pay politicians a huge amount of tax money, the atmosphere will kill us all. Excuse me? You got to be kidding me. And sadly, I'm not. Now, this is an election year. And this election year it's fraught with the strange insanity that takes over the United States every 4 years. But I'm getting frustrated with it. I'm getting frustrated because we don't deal with solutions. We only deal with what ifs and damage and horrifying possibilities and blah, blah, blah. It's transcended from an important part of the American debate into melodrama. And when political parties start damaging the nation that they practice their politics in, that's where I draw the line, which takes us seamlessly to the Trump trial in New York City. This hush money trial is a travesty. It's absolutely a travesty. I don't care what political party you're a part of. I don't care whether you think Trump is the Antichrist or the savior of America. This is just plain ridiculous. And I have asked why it is, and notice I'm not using names. I'm asking why it is that a political party would take so much opportunity to damage this nation, its judicial system, its governmental integrity, in order to get rid of one guy. I find it preposterous, especially when it's not their decision. The political parties don't decide who the president is going to be. It's the people of the United States. Now, there are an awful lot of very hubris-soaked, egocentric political operatives that'll tell you, I can certainly get somebody elected president if I want to. Yep, I can get an eggplant elected to the presidency if I want to. Well, congratulations. You actually did it in 2020. Well done. And so here we are, dealing with a country that is hurting. The cries of agony from one end of the country to the other. The process folding in on itself in some rabid self-destruction and trying to take us along with it. Screw you guys. And this is just one American talking to other Americans, because you probably turned this off a couple of seconds ago. Politicians of the United States, get with it. Start doing the people's business, or we will replace you. To my fellow Americans, if your representative, your senator, your president does not do what you think should be done in this nation, replace them. I'm not evangelizing for one party over the other. I'm evangelizing for replacement. I don't care what party you vote for. Just find somebody else to vote for. And stop electing these progressives. They're not progressive. They are regressive. They're trying to regress our entire nation back to a time where there was this gigantic, monolithic, socialist superpower that imploded after not even after a century. They didn't last a century. The United States is closing in on lasting 250 years. Why? Because we have a better form of government, and I am tired of people telling us that our government is not all that, because it is. All right, let's get back to the circus. This from CNN. Donald Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, began his confrontation with Michael Cohen yesterday by throwing the former fixer's language back in his face. Blanche confirmed the two had never spoken, but asked Cohen whether he knew who he was already, since Cohen, quote, went on TikTok and called me a crying little S-word just before the trial began, unquote. Cohen responded kind of ridiculously. Sounds like something I would say. Are you kidding me? I mean, what a sassy, stupid response. The question set the tone for the cross-examination of the Manhattan District Attorney's key witness in the hush money trial against the former president for 2 hours. Blanche began a cross-examination, hoping to discredit Cohen's allegations against Trump. Once again, this is being written by CNN, so there's going to be some intrinsic bias. But after the initial fireworks over Cohen's TikTok post, much of the cross-examination was more subdued. Blanche quizzed him on the many compliments he gave Trump while he was still a loyal fixer, and the money he's made from books and podcasts since turning against him. Cohen did not get rattled when his nasty statements were read back to him, and Trump hardly reacted to his lawyer's interrogation. Still, there's a long way to go. Blanche indicated the cross-examination would continue through most of the day tomorrow when court resumes. Over 2 days, Cohen has detailed hush money. They call it a hush money scheme, okay? And they're trying to, this is once again, this is biased by CNN, a hush money scheme, okay? This is a business transaction. Yes, it can be characterized as a scheme only if you believe that it is totally and completely improper to try to silence someone while you're running for the presidency of the United States, insofar as candidates throughout the nation's history have done exactly that, including noted Democrats. I find it absolutely ridiculous that CNN would say, detailed the hush money scheme. Come on. Stop it. ABC, CNN, George Stephanopoulos, bimbo eruptions. Come on. Knock it off. Once again, we are not trying to elect the Pope. Okay, we're trying to elect a president of the United States in a gloves-off political brawl that's annoying everyone in the United States. At least all the real people. I don't know about these crazy political sociopaths we keep following around. The media dutifully reporting on every single stupid nugget that falls out of their mouths becomes a national issue. Screw that. Do your job. Stop saying that your opponent is going to kill us all. Knock it off. Jesus, makes me mad. I'm sorry. I'm in kind of a state today. I got to be honest with you. I started doing the show prep for this, and I'm going, on a personal note, I'm not working at a radio station right now. There's one right down the road. It's WBAP. It is a magnificent radio station run by incredible professionals. And the program director of that radio station said, you know what? People just don't care about politics. And that's all you do. Well, it's not all I do. I report the news. The news, a lot of it is politics. It's bad enough that because I have committed to reporting the news honestly and fairly, it's bad enough that I have to report all this garbage. But then to be held responsible for it as if, talk radio no longer needs these kinds of discussions is exquisitely annoying to me. Not the program director. He's making his decisions, and he's winning, by the way. But I report this because it's the news. I'm not reporting it because I'm some arch political commentator like Rush Limbaugh. I'm not. I'm a news guy. I'm just trying to give the news. And I hate it. I mean, people have asked me one of these at one time or another whether or not I was going to run for office. And I haven't made that decision. Probably won't. But can you imagine what I would do if I was in the same room with some of these people? I'm a stiff-necked thistlehead. I'm not somebody that would put up with this kind of foolishness gladly. I'd look them right in the face and say, what the hell are you doing? If you want to be a communist, go to Venezuela. If you want to be holier than thou, some pious person trying to dictate morality, go to the Vatican. The people of the United States need someone who wishes to govern the nation, not them. This is not some authoritarian position where you get to dictate terms. This is where you serve the American people, and if you can't do that, get out of my way. That's what I would tell these people. Because politics is a pain in the butt. And yeah, maybe it's cost me a job because I'm just trying to report the news. But all I can say is that I'm running out of gas on these people dictating the terms of our lives. They're not good enough to even come close to being in the position of having the skills to do it. First of all. Second of all, I don't want you to run my life when you can't even balance a budget or anything else or keep our house safe. You guys need to go. This is the Wells Report. I'm sorry, I was reporting on Cohen. The Speaker of the House of Representatives came out and talked after yesterday's proceedings. I'm going to have that video for you coming up in just a couple of moments. And I'm not complaining about my lot in life. I'm doing the right thing. I'm reporting the news here. Okay? Whether it works for some radio station or not, that's up to them. I'm just doing my job. Just like I want all of these politicians to do their jobs. It's called leading by example, in case you care. But I'll get back to the news here in just a couple of moments. Lots of things to discuss. Like I said, the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Mike Johnson, took to the microphones after yesterday's proceeding in this stupid hush money trial. And he had a lot of things to say that you need to hear, and I'll bring them to you as we continue on the Wells Report next.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. There is breaking news at this moment. Slovakia's Prime Minister, Robert Fico, was shot and wounded in an apparent assassination attempt. Happened today, this morning, as he made an appearance outside a community center, according to local media. This happened about a half an hour, 40 minutes ago. Fico was hospitalized after the incident. His condition is not known. Reports say that he was shot in the abdomen. Slovak broadcaster TA3 said that Fico was shot in the abdomen after a government meeting in the town of Handlova in central Slovakia. The alleged assailant, who has not been identified, was immediately detained by police. Video was published on social media, which USA Today has not verified, so we're not going to show it to you. But it appeared to show several men rushing to detain the suspect. In a post on X, Slovakia's president, Zuzana Kaputova, said she was utterly shocked by today's brutal attack on Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico. which I condemn in the strongest possible terms. I wish him a lot of strength in this critical moment and early recovery. My thoughts are also with his families and close ones. Robert Fico had been the prime minister since 2023, a role he'd previously held. The European Policy Center think tank describes him as a, quote, pro-Russian populist who blends social populism, nationalism, and anti-liberalism, unquote. We're watching this story, and we'll have more as soon as more of it becomes available. As I said before the break, U.S. Speaker Mike Johnson appeared after the day's proceedings at the New York hush money trial and spoke on behalf of what many people believe would be on behalf of President Trump, but he said that was not the case. Here's what he had to say anyway, courtesy of Fox News.
I called President Trump and told him I wanted to be here myself to call out what is a travesty of justice, and I think everybody around the country can see that. President Trump is a friend, and I wanted to be here to support him. I'm here speaking with you outside because the court won't allow us to speak inside the building. That's just one of the many things that are wrong here. This is the fifth week that President Trump has been in court for this sham of a trial. They are doing this intentionally to keep him here and keep him off of the campaign trail. And I think everybody in the country can see that for what it is. I'm an attorney. I'm a former litigator myself. I am disgusted by what is happening here, what is being done here to our entire system of justice overall. The people are losing faith right now in this country, in our institutions. They're losing faith in our system of justice. And the reason for that is because they see it being abused as it is being done here in New York. The facts here are very important. Facts are always important in a trial, or at least they're supposed to be. The president's actions in this matter were previously reviewed and no charges were filed. Why is that? Because there's no crime here. Now, 8 years later, suddenly they've resurrected this thing. They brought it back. And why is that? Well, just apply common sense. Everyone can see. It's painfully obvious that we're now 6 months out from an election day. And that's the reason. That is the reason why they brought these charges here and across the country. What we've got here is a partisan Democrat district attorney. We have a Biden donor judge, and we have an assistant DA who was recently a top official at the Department of Justice, Biden's DOJ, and recently received over $10,000 in payments from the Democratic National Committee. The star witness here is Michael Cohen. I just listened to a few moments of his testimony this morning, and it is consistent with what he's already done. This is a man who is clearly on a mission for personal revenge and who is widely known as a witness who has trouble with the truth. He is someone who has a history of perjury and is well known for it. No one should believe a word he says today. He lied to Congress. He lied to the IRS. He lied to federal election officials. Even Cohen's own lawyer testified to a grand jury that he is not reliable. So there's nothing that he presents here that should be given any weight at all by a jury, and certainly not this judge.
That is Speaker Mike Johnson talking about Michael Cohen, and what he has to say seems to resonate with what is actually real, not that any of this trial is real. But that being said, the speaker has weighed in support of former President Donald Trump. More news coming up. This is the Wells Report. Stay where you are. Thanks for joining us.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
This is the Wells Report. We bring you news, analysis, commentary, and debate. Donald Trump is sitting through a New York hush money trial. Many people have said this is a sham, it's a kangaroo court. Some people hang on every word and believe that this is the comeuppance that Donald Trump deserves, according to them. Whatever your point of view is, I've made my understanding of it clear. I happen to agree that this is an egregious abuse of the American justice system. Donald Trump is not happy about any of this. He has, from time to time, spoken out and has been fined for it by New York Justice Juan Merchan. Recently, Donald Trump declared on Truth Social that the judge is highly conflicted and the overseer of a kangaroo court. Trump's supporters swiftly replied to his post with a blitz of attacks on Merchan. The comments began to turn ugly. Some called for Merchan and other judges hearing cases against Trump to be killed. One said, quote, treason is a hangable offense, unquote. Another said, they should all be executed, unquote. The April 23 post by Donald Trump and the menacing responses from his followers illustrate what is called by USA Today the incendiary impact of his broadsides against judges handling the criminal and civil suits against him. As his presidential campaign intensifies, Trump has, quote, baselessly cast the judges and prosecutors in his trials as corrupt puppets of the Biden administration. First of all, USA Today is writing that. They say, my goodness, this is baseless. They can't say that. That's bias. That is editorialization. They have no idea whether the judges and prosecutors in the trial are corrupt. There hasn't been any proceeding to determine it one way or another. They can certainly say that Trump has allegedly cast the judges and prosecutors in his trials as corrupt, or alleges that the judges and prosecutors in the trial are corrupt, but they can't say it's baseless because they don't know any better. What they're trying to do is they're just trying to make Trump look as ugly as they possibly can from a news standpoint. Well, that's not news. As we continually point out on this broadcast, that's opinion. And opinion is not news, even if it's on the pages of USA Today. But the point in this, and I don't want it to be lost, is the fact that USA Today is reporting that there are people making threatening statements against Juan Merchan and the judges, et cetera, et cetera. And that's true. Free speech does indeed involve some very repugnant and ugly things being thrown around in the public sphere. It's not what you say in the United States. It's what you do. And here is this bastion of free speech, USA Today, saying that, my God, these are dangerous things and they should be stopped. No, they shouldn't. Because free speech allows you to say things like that. Are those statements stupid? Yeah. Are they counterproductive? Yes. Do they give ammunition to those people who want an authoritarian United States of America? The answer is yes. In other words, people who make statements like this regarding Judge Merchan and treason and hanging and blah, 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 are being played. Unless that's not true. Unless nobody made those threats. We already know that social media at every level can be manipulated for political effect, and it has. We don't have any idea whether these threats are real. We don't have any idea whether these are real people or bots or provocateurs from the other side trying to create a pretext. Let me say that again. We don't know whether or not this is real or whether it's an attempt to create a pretext. Let me bring you another article. 6 months before the 2024 presidential election, also from USA Today, the House Speaker, several Republican lawmakers are angling to be Donald Trump's running mate. They are becoming increasingly vocal that they cannot guarantee they will certify the results for the 2024 election. It's a growing list that includes a who's who of the Trump-dominated GOP, including Senators J.D. Vance of Ohio, Tim Scott of South Carolina, Representatives Mike Johnson of Louisiana, Elise Stefanik of New York, and Byron Donalds of Florida. They're taking positions that in previous presidential contests wouldn't have meant much, given the every 4-year meeting in Congress that's required under the Constitution to take place on January 6th is widely known to be a ceremonial affair where there's no real doubt over who's going to be the next executive leader of the U.S. government. But then came the deadly 2021 insurrection, says USA Today. First of all, let's make abundantly clear that it was not deadly from a standpoint of anyone except Ashley Babbitt. Everybody else that died around that particular event died of natural causes or suicide, and USA Today refuses to report the truth on that. That's just a plain lie. Yes, it was deadly to Ashley Babbitt, so they can get away with it, et cetera, but the meaning is somewhat different, and they are aware of that. Now, the assaults against the Capitol Police, inexcusable. People should have gone to jail for that, right up to the point where they became political prisoners, as opposed to being people that are serving time for miscreancy and crimes they committed. Two completely different things. The insurrection, as reported by USA Today, in which both federal and state criminal indictments were then allied against President Trump, they say were instrumental in orchestrating a way to try to overturn the results of a close presidential race that he lost to Joe Biden. With the same two candidates primed for a 2024 rematch, historians, political experts, Democrats, even some Republicans who left office because of Trump, are raising alarm about what this expanding circle of potential election denialism means for the future of self-government in America. Let me explain something to you. These people are saying this on purpose. They are trying to push the actual responsibility for what they're supposedly afraid of, not on themselves where it belongs, but on the people of the United States where it doesn't belong. If you don't want Americans mobbing the Capitol building of the United States, maybe what you should be doing is working on free and fair elections. Maybe what you shouldn't be doing is trying to tell everybody through your mouthpieces of the mainstream media, which is nothing more than a propaganda outfit, that, my God, that was the best election ever. It clearly wasn't, was it? Oh, you're one of those election deniers. Not at all. But the people of the United States keep talking about this. And the people of the mainstream media keep trying to make sure that everybody who talks about it is spoken of in terms of, my God, they're election deniers. Conspiracy theorists, they're wrong, baseless, without evidence, blah, 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 blah. You don't have to sell the truth. You do have to sell a lie. And there's an awful lot of salesmanship going on in the mainstream media. And so what this is all about is this is about trying to make the American people the problem as opposed to the political process. Everyone knows what needs to happen. Only American citizens and legal voters with photo ID should be voting in the nation's elections. Period. When there is something that is completely anomalous, like all of a sudden the counting stopping in the middle of the night after Election Day, based on the fact that it looks like somebody didn't like the results and so they had to come up with some sort of fix. Semi-tractor trailers filled with all kinds of ballots, according to various reports. What needs to happen is that anybody who wants to look into that should not be talked about as an election denier and as some kind of revolutionary provocateur. What they need to do is they need to investigate it, and they need to find out what the reality is. And then they need to publish it for the people of the United States in a factual and objective way so that we can make up our own minds instead of just telling anybody, well, there's never been a court case that ever said this, blah, blah, blah. There's never been an investigation. And what we keep hearing about when people actually do investigate independent of the legal system is we find problems. The Republican Party refuses to look into the 2020 election. Oh, they'll look into Joe Biden's personal finances and the Biden family's personal finances. They won't do anything about it, but by God, they're considering impeachment. Yeah, well, they've been considering impeachment for the last 90 days. We haven't heard a damn thing about it. Republicans don't do anything. They just make a brave noise and then sort of shrink back into the shadows where they belong, I guess. And so what we have here is we have this very sinister kind of look at the American people and the way they are being manipulated by the political process. And it must stop. It must stop. And so they're saying, my God, they might not, they can't guarantee that they're going to uphold the 2024 election. Well, maybe what you ought to do is you ought to make sure that 2024 election is real. Getting back to what we know needs to be the case. American citizens and legal voters with picture ID need to be able to vote in the United States. People that are infirm, that have trouble, need to contact their family and friends and get to the polls. If you don't have an ID, go get one. I don't believe there's a state in the union that even charges you for it. Well, there's a woman there that doesn't have any feet and she's suffering from rubbery pancreas and she doesn't have an ID. I'm sorry, is she on Social Security? Well, yes. Well, how does she get Social Security without being able to identify herself? Well, yeah, exactly. The simple case of the matter is if you're the family member of the grandmother with no feet and a rubbery pancreas, maybe what you do is you get her butt to any DMV will do, register to vote. Get her to the polls. Help her up there, vote. By all means. But stop turning that into a wedge issue for why we don't have fair, free elections. And we don't. If you don't have to show a picture ID to vote, that's not a free and fair election. That is a growth medium for manipulation, which is different than an election. But all this is laying the groundwork for action. Well, my God, they may not verify the 2024 election. Well, maybe what you ought to be working on is a fair election, a legal, secure one. And maybe what you should do is you should stop listening to these all-powerful corporations that promise billion-dollar lawsuits against you if you disagree with the possibility that maybe somebody ought to actually do an independent investigation into those voting machines. I'm not saying they did anything wrong. I'm making it abundantly clear that I suspect that nothing was wrong, but I don't know, and that is wrong. I do this every single day. I go through the news every single day, and I don't know whether or not our elections are free and fair or whether they are rigged or not. Why is that? It's not that I'm a conspiracy theorist, it's that I don't know. And if I don't know, there are other people that don't know. And they're being shut down, they're being told to be quiet, they're being suppressed. For the sake of this agenda, everything's fine, nothing to see here, everything's fine, let's move away from the 2020 election, we're looking over our shoulder, let's move to the 2024 election. And yet they blow it when they say, well, there may be a problem with the 2024 election. That's right. Maybe because they're going to try to do what they did in 2020 again. Well, now you sound like an election denier. What do you mean what they did in 2020? Well, what they did in 2020. There were problems with the election. Everybody knows about it. There were anomalies. Nobody's investigated them. And the only reporting that we have on the 2020 election is that anybody who questions anything is a conspiracy theorist. And that gets my suspicionometer pegging. That's what it does. It gets me thinking, yeah, why are you guys working so hard to deny free speech to people who disagree? Why is that? Why don't you work to remove the disagreement instead? Well, because if you did that, you'd have to give up some political power. Exactly. And you can't do it, can you? You know why? Because you're the wrong people with political power. That's why. Boy, am I grumpy. This is the Wells Report. Thanks very much for being with us today. Stick around. We got more coming up in just a couple of moments as we continue for this Wednesday.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning-fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Good morning. This is the Wells Report. Breaking news. Slovakia's populist Prime Minister Robert Fico is being reported by the Associated Press as being in a life-threatening condition. This after being wounded in a shooting after a political event that happened earlier this afternoon, according to his Facebook profile. Reports on the Slovakian TV station TA3 said that Fico was hit in the stomach after 4 shots were fired outside the House of Culture in the town of Handlova, some 150 kilometers, that's 93 miles, northeast of the capital, where the leader was meeting with supporters. The suspect has been detained, according to news reports. We're watching that story. We'll bring you more as soon as there is more. Boeing has violated a 2021 agreement that shielded it from criminal prosecution after 2 737 MAX jetliners crashed, leaving 346 people dead overseas. This, according to the Department of Justice, speaking with a federal judge in a court filing yesterday. According to the DOJ, Boeing failed to design, implement, and enforce a compliance and ethics program to prevent and detect violations of the U.S. fraud laws throughout its operations. ABC News has a report. Let's take a look here on the Wells Report. Stand by.
This morning, new trouble for Boeing. The Justice Department accuses the company of violating a settlement that was reached after 2 deadly plane crashes.
Companies are threatened and put under agreements by the Justice Department, but it's extremely rare that a company actually violates the agreement.
The agreement allowed Boeing to avoid criminal prosecution after the crashes involving its 737 MAX jets in 2018 and 2019. In exchange, it was required to follow certain safety procedures, but in a new letter, Prosecutors claim Boeing has failed to design, implement, and enforce a compliance and ethics program to prevent and detect violations throughout its operations. The Justice Department says Boeing is now subject to prosecution, though the department is still determining how it will proceed in this matter.
Boeing is one of the largest and most powerful companies in the United States. It supports tens of thousands of jobs across the country. It supplies our military with planes and different weapon systems. But on the flip side, the families who lost people in those two crashes, they want justice.
Those two MAX jet crashes killed hundreds of people. The first in Indonesia killed all 189 passengers and crew. The second in Ethiopia, 157. A congressional investigation found Boeing failed in its design and development of the MAX. The father of Samaya Stumo, a 24-year-old from Massachusetts killed in the Ethiopia crash, says he's very pleased the Department of Justice found Boeing in breach. Boeing's operations have been under scrutiny more recently after the door plug of an Alaska Airlines plane fell off in mid-flight. Responding to the Justice Department's letter, Boeing said, "We believe that we have honored the terms of that agreement and look forward to the opportunity to respond to the department on this issue."
Prosecutors have given Boeing until June 13th to formally respond.
And that is ABC News. Thanks very much for that report. By the way, I want to tell you something here. Boeing is also under scrutiny for the loss of two whistleblowers who died under mysterious circumstances, as reported by various news outlets. And there's a real concern over just exactly what's going on here. Now, all that being said, let's talk about the realities of it. Not trying to dip into conspiracy, but Boeing is perhaps the premier American defense contractor working for the government of the United States. And there is a limit to just exactly how far the DOJ wants to go when it comes to Boeing. This is something that happens when you have far too large corporations working without enough competition. And this goes back to essentially a movement that started with Ronald Reagan and deregulation, where suddenly all these corporations could then merge. And so they did, especially these defense contractors. Boeing is gigantic. Does it need to have all of the various industries it has? Remember, it absorbed McDonnell Douglas. MacDac is what was referred to colloquially by defense contractors and people who worked in the government. MacDac was absorbed by Boeing. And other companies have absorbed others, Martin Marietta and Lockheed, et cetera, et cetera. And what ends up happening is that these corporations become so large that in order to keep them, shall we say, following American law, they have to, the DOJ, I mean, they have to tread very carefully. These corporations are too big. And yes, just like Teddy Roosevelt said all the way back, they need to be trust busted, perhaps, fragmented into smaller corporations. The idea that there is too big to fail, which came up during the Obama administration, no way. No. That should never be the case. That should never be the case. Is the DOJ going to move forward on this possible complaint against Boeing? No. Are these people who are saying, hey, what about our family members, the 346 people that died in these crashes? Will they be given recompense? Yes. Will it be enough? Maybe in some cases, never in others. But when a corporation is so big that the government cannot take steps toward remediating possible criminal activity, there's a problem and it needs to be fixed. How's that going to happen? We'll see. This is the Wells Report. That's hour number one. Stick around. Hour number two, right around the corner as we cover the news, analyze it, comment on it, and debate it. Next on the Wells Report.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Hey, thanks for joining us this morning for the Wells Report, and make sure you share us with all your friends on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Patreon, and don't forget to check out our Substack column, which will be coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. When you do all this, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us those thumbs up. They are really important. Check the notification box so you know when we're on the air, and whatever you do, join us every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, for the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Okay, what's the Wells Report? It's a news broadcast. We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We de-propagandize the mainstream media, and we do it every single day between 9 and 11 a.m. Central Time here in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. We do make commentary. Yeah. We make commentary. That's not news. Commentary is opinion, both yours and mine. Let's compare. Let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. A lot of primaries yesterday and some interesting results. For example, after trailing for months in the polls, Prince George's County executive, it's hard to say, Angela Alsobrooks, defeated Representative David Trone, the Democrat from Maryland, in Maryland's Democrat Senate primary. Trone, the co-founder of Total Wine and More, poured more than $54 million of his own money into the campaign. Also, Brooks had the backing of leading Democrats in the state, including Governor Wes Moore, Senator Chris Van Hollen, Representative Steny Hoyer, and Jamie Raskin. Also, Brooks will face off against popular former Republican Governor Larry Hogan in a November general election that could determine the balance of the Senate next year. Senators Deb Fischer, the Republican from Nebraska, and Pete Ricketts of Nebraska, also a Republican, beat their respective primary challengers in Nebraska's GOP Senate primaries. Ricketts bested his opponent in a special election for the seat he was appointed to in 2023 after former Senator Ben Sasse, the Republican from Nebraska, stepped down. Fischer is likely to face a nonpartisan challenger in the November general election for her seat. Representative Don Bacon, the Republican from Nebraska, yesterday won the Republican primary in Nebraska's 2nd congressional district, defeating GOP hardliner Dan Frey. While Bacon had support from House Speaker Mike Johnson, Frey was backed by Representative Bob Good from Virginia, the chair of the ultra-conservative House Freedom Caucus. Joe Biden and Donald Trump also scored victories in their respective Democrat and Republican Nebraska primaries as they marched toward their party's nominations. Representative Carol Miller, the Republican from West Virginia, trounced challenger Derek Evans in the Republican primary for her 1st congressional district seat. Evans served 3 months in prison after joining pro-Trump protesters who invaded the U.S. Capitol on January 6th and threatened to prevent the peaceful transfer of power following the 2020 race for the White House. Okay, once again, this is more bias on the part of USA Today. We are borrowing this from them. So Derek Evans, we talked about yesterday. He is somebody that was wearing his January 6th conviction as a badge of honor. Apparently, Republican voters in West Virginia saw it as something different, something to keep track of as time goes by. With the polls closing, these are the live updates, etc. So that's already happened. So we've given you most of that. And let's move on to some other election news. Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose has ordered the state's voter polls to be purged, or voter rolls rather, to be purged of non-citizens. This happened yesterday. This after a review found more than 100 Ohio residents who were registered to vote despite lacking U.S. citizenship. An investigation by Ohio's Public Integrity Division analyzed data from the state's Bureau of Motor Vehicles, found that 137 people who appeared on voter rolls despite twice confirming they were not U.S. citizens. Ohio law requires that in order for a person to be removed from voter rolls, they must have confirmed their lack of citizenship to the BVM, the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, on 2 separate occasions, and also have updated their voter registration or voted in between the 2 occasions. What? Let's see, they have to say that they're non-citizens to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles in Ohio twice. And also have, they have confirmed their lack and have updated their voter registration or voted in between the 2 occasions. So in order to make sure that they are not eligible to vote, they have to vote in between the 2 occasions of saying that they're not eligible to vote. Does that sound political to you? Does that sound like some of the garbage we have to clean up in these United States? Of course, this isn't these United States, is it? It's Ohio. But you see how arcane and stupid this has become? Now, in case I got this wrong, and I don't think I did, let me read it again. Ohio law requires that in order for a person to be removed from the voter rolls, they must have confirmed their lack of citizenship to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles on 2 separate occasions, and also have updated their voter registration or voted in between the 2 occasions. Excuse me? So why would somebody have any interest whatsoever in reporting that they're not eligible to vote if in order to prove that they're not eligible to vote, they have to vote? What are we talking about here? What we're talking about is a bunch of political gobbledygook. Yes. If I ever run for public office, it's going to be in the anti-gobbledygook party. What will our colors be? I mean, the Democrat Party's blue, the Republican Party's red. I guess ours will be paisley. Unbelievable. These individuals, the people they're talking about, will receive at least 2 written notices from the Secretary of State office asking them to confirm their citizenship status or cancel their registration. Failure to respond to these notices will result in removal of the registration from voter rolls by the county boards of elections, according to LaRose's office, speaking to Fox News. The improper voter registration could result in prosecution for some, but LaRose cautioned that not all instances are criminal. Well, according to the summary of the law we just got from Fox News, there's nothing criminal in it. Because in order to prove that you're not a legal voter, you have to vote in elections. What? It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. It's important to recognize, says LaRose, it's important to recognize that some of these registrations may be the result of an honest mistake. These may be well-meaning people trying to pursue the American dream, and communication barriers sometimes result in a registration for being submitted in error. We need to help them get cleared up before the accidental registration becomes an illegal vote that could result in a felony conviction or even deportation. Right. Not like that's going to happen, is it? LaRose's office said there may be no more non-citizens registered to vote than the initial investigation uncovered. You think? Much of the data provided by the Bureau of Motor Vehicles requires cross-referencing with other databases, some of them federal. Okay, but once again, how does that work out? Since the federal government doesn't have anything to do with local elections. To that effect, the state of Ohio is calling on President Biden's administration to provide access to several sources of citizenship data. First is the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services SAVE database, which holds the troves of citizenship data for individuals entering the United States. Hey, you know what? You're not going to believe this. There's this crazy guy who used to be the president of the United States. Yeah, and he was the president coming up to the 2020 census. And what he wanted to do was he wanted something on the census that actually allowed for the counting of American citizens in the United States of America. And he was shouted down by politicos from left to right and all around and the mainstream media. How ridiculous. How stupid that the people of the United States would want to have a census that actually kept track of American citizens. What kind of idiots are these? And I was going, excuse me? Yeah, so now what we have to do is Ohio's got to have access to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services SAVE database. What's that? I mean, is it constitutionally mandated? The census is. Is this? I'm smelling politics, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah, that sickly, organically rotting smell of politics. Yeah, we should be able to go to the United States Census and look up under the column United States Citizens 2020 and see just how many American citizens there are. And we can't. And oh, by the way, all you people that are fans of bipartisanship, yeah, that's bipartisan. Yeah, the government thinks it works for itself. These politicians believe that they are essentially serving themselves. Meanwhile, the people of the United States that empower them to serve themselves are not being served. And these very same people are complaining that, well, maybe the people of the United States are going to react poorly. You know what happened January 6th? Yeah, what happened January 6th is nothing in comparison to what could happen in these United States if this isn't brought into some kind of reality focus. Yes, and we all know what that has to be. Yes, American citizens should vote with a picture ID. And the people that are also legal to vote, they should be able to vote with a picture ID. I don't happen to believe in voting machines, especially ones that, well, you don't get to know how they operate. That's something that I can honestly report because Dominion voting systems will not release how their voting machines work because, well, it's a trade secret. Oh, well, whose trade? Is it a trade secret for Dominion and the way they do their algorithms and computer stuff, or is it a trade secret of the Democrat Party? Just asking. But we don't get to know how those machines work. That's ridiculous. I believe what we should have is we should have a voting system that's abundantly clear how it works. For example, a pen, a piece of paper, a check mark. Okay, you can use an electronic counter, but why? Let's just count them by hand. How about that? You see, that's the way I think it should be. Yeah, we should know how many American citizens are there. Yes, we should know how many legal voters are there. Yes, they should be able to prove that they are themselves and indeed go vote. Yes, we should have a clean way of keeping track of people who are no longer on the voter rolls. I guarantee you, if you take last year's death certificates in the state of Texas, all of them, that's a legal document, and run it up next to the voter rolls anywhere in the state of Texas, you're going to find dead people that are still on the voter rolls. Even though there's a Secretary of State document that says that person is dead, they're still on the voter rolls. Well, who's casting those ballots? And that's Texas. Now think about states like Illinois and California and so on, New York. Let's start thinking about those states. Michigan, Pennsylvania. How many dead people are on those rolls? When there is indeed documentation that the person is dead. And why don't we know? Because politicians are in charge of that procedure, aren't they? Yeah. So all we have to do is have a class of people that don't have any political aspirations. No, that won't work. That's not human. Politics is human. Politics is human nature. No, what you do is you create a system that is transparent, that is very difficult to cheat, like only votes cast on Election Day, and those collected before Election Day from absentee voters get counted. period. And we don't do that, do we? This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. Proudly so. Back with more in a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number is 817-379-2172. As we come to this broadcast, there is breaking news. President Joe Biden has challenged former President Donald Trump to 2 head-to-head debates before the November election with several special conditions. Biden said in a video calling out the presumptive Republican nominee to make my day, pal. Make my day? Really? Well, let's see what we can do about finding this. This is a 13-second video, right? And I don't know whether or not anybody in the Biden camp knows this or not, but debates are usually longer than 13 seconds. And let's see just exactly what this sucker says as we continue. Hang on a second here. Stand by. Let me try that. Let me re-rack this. All right. And once again, this is the President of the United States. This is the President of the United States challenging Donald Trump to a debate.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. Since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays. Donald Trump lost 2.
Yeah, okay. So there you go. The pugnacious, shall we say, medication-supported President of the United States, Joe Biden, presenting a challenge to Donald Trump for debates, huh? And he'll do 2 of them. Yeah. I wonder what the special conditions are. I wonder what they are. Let's see, make my day, pal. Both proposed shutdowns would be, the showdowns rather, would be held without the involvement of the nonpartisan commission that typically organizes presidential debates. Trump quickly fired back, accepted the challenge from the Democrat incumbent in a post on his Truth Social account. Just tell me when. I'll be there, wrote Trump. Let's get ready to rumble. Yeah. I'm ready and willing to debate Crooked Joe at the 2 proposed times in June and September. Shortly after the response, Biden said he accepted an invitation for CNN or from CNN for a debate on June 27th. Over to you, Donald. As you said, anywhere, anytime, any place, he wrote on an X post. To ensure the appearance of fairness, that's funny, the Biden campaign said it wanted the debates with just 2 candidates and a moderator with no in-studio audience. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, the in-studio audience, bad idea. Right? The audience needs to be all of us. And we need to be watching from our homes. But who's the moderator going to be? And will they be a moderator or will they be a third party in the debate? That's the question. By the way, in case you're wondering, if you need somebody that's fair, honest, and has proven it for 23 years, give me a call. I'll be more than happy to handle it. Biden's campaign also wants them to be held by news organizations that hosted a 2016 Republican primary debate, which Trump participated in, and a 2020 Democrat primary, which Biden participated in. The Biden campaign sent a letter to the Commission on Presidential Debates saying it will not participate in the organization's traditional debates, which were scheduled to take place September 16th, October 1st, and October 9th. The years-long presidential commission model for these debates is out of step with changes in the structure of our elections and the interests of voters, said Biden campaign chair Jen O'Malley Dillon, writing in a letter to the group. The campaign took issue with the commission scheduling debates after early voting had already begun and treating the debates as more of an entertainment program. According to O'Malley Dillon, she also said the commission consistently failed to enforce debate rules, leading to noisy spectacles of approval or jeering. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, crosstalk, arguments, garbage, food fights, stupidity. Yeah, that was all the hallmark of the last set of political debates we saw, which were ridiculous on their faces. That being said, so the challenge was given by President Biden. Yeah, I wonder if he's actually going to be there. This has the flavor of somebody saying, hold me back before I hurt Donald Trump. Okay, we'll see.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. John David Wells at your service. Telephone number 817-379-2172. We've been following the story of artificial intelligence here in the United States and, of course, around the world. Because, well, artificial intelligence is something that we are going to be dealing with in greater and greater steps and standards, And that is, of course, until we can't cope with it any longer, that it's going to set its own standards. But let's not worry about that in the future, because I'm sure that the federal government is going to do something about artificial intelligence and the danger it poses to the human existence. I am sure of it. How am I sure of it? Well, there are a couple of different articles on this very topic. One from CNN and one from Reuters that basically talks about the same thing. And that is this from CNN. Federal legislation to govern artificial intelligence took another step closer to reality today as Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, along with a bipartisan trio of senators, announced a sprawling blueprint to shape how congressional committees tackle the technology in forthcoming bills. The 31-page roadmap released this week calls for billions of dollars in government spending to accelerate AI research and development, reflecting earlier commitments by Schumer, a Democrat from New York, and the so-called AI gang to prioritize U.S. innovation in an intensely competitive field. It also instructs multiple Senate committees to come up with guardrails for AI to discuss or address, rather, some of its biggest risks, such as AI-enabled discrimination, job displacement, and election interference. Quote, harnessing the potential of AI demands an all-hands-on-deck approach, and that's exactly what our bipartisan AI working group has been leading, unquote. This according to Senator Schumer. Some of the document's proposals reflect long-standing congressional goals, such as the creation of a national data privacy law that gives consumers more control over their personal information and which could help regulate AI companies' use of such data. I'm sorry. I need a better poker face. Others appear modeled after legislation adopted by the European Union, such as the proposed ban on the use of AI for social scoring systems akin to those implemented by the Chinese government. It urges congressional committees to develop coherent policies for when and how to impose export controls on powerful AI systems, or for designated certain AI models as classified for national security purposes. The roadmap endorses a recommendation to allocate at least $32 billion a year, or at least 1% of U.S. GDP, on AI research and development, a proposal issued in a 2021 report by the National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence. The organization plan developed over months of meetings and listening sessions with top tech companies, civil rights leaders, labor unions, and intellectual property holders, and it seeks to reinvigorate a legislative push that began last year after Schumer took a personal role in spearheading the effort along with New Mexico Democrat Senator Martin Heinrich and Republican Senators Mike Rounds of South Dakota and Todd Young of Indiana. Want to know what I think? First of all, politicians are not up to the job of handling artificial intelligence. Why is that? Because they base their entire careers not on intelligence. They base their entire career on intellect. And yes, the intellect that most politicians use is artificial intellect because it's a cobbleization. It's cobbled up between what's real, which is immediately discounted for whatever's most important from a political standpoint. Their thought processes are based on politics, not reality. These people actually think that they're going to be able to come up with guardrails for AI. Yeah. How? How are they going to come up with guardrails for AI? We have no idea where AI is right this minute as we have this conversation. AI could be operating in the background, doing whatever its electronic or artificial intelligence laughter behind the scenes would look like. It could have been operating for the last, 2 or 3 decades. In 1976, my dad, working for NASA, was talking about the amazing artificial intelligence that allowed the Viking lander to land on Mars. And the reason that they needed artificial intelligence to be able to land the satellite. was because there's a communications lag of a little over a half an hour. And so you couldn't make last-second determinations as to where the satellite was going to land. It had to do it itself, thus artificial intelligence. That was in 1976. That's 50 years ago. And oh, by the way, just as a side note, the Martian probes that went after Viking that did not have artificial intelligence to land the spacecraft, crashed. So, all these people are sitting there going, "My goodness gracious, we need to invest more money." Yeah, money's going to be real important to this effort. $32 billion a year, or 1% of U.S. GDP, to try to put guardrails around AI. And those guardrails may make you feel better or make politicians be able to puff their chests out and say, "Hey, I fixed it." But what they're forgetting is that there is another intellect involved. It's not just politics. It's not just the voters. It's not just human beings around the world. It's an artificial intellect that operates at its own ideology. They don't want AI to be discriminatory. Really? According to what? Because the current idea about non-discriminatory race relations means that everybody needs to be treated fairly except for Caucasians. That's the current, is that the fairness, the quote fairness, that's going to be implemented into AI? We've already seen examples of that, by the way. Politicians. They're going to be able to handle AI. Politicians can't handle a budget. They don't know the difference between a genuine environmental problem and one cobbled up with the sole purpose to swindle taxpayers around the world that is climate change. It's garbage. It's absolute garbage. They can't tell the truth. They've been lying so long, they don't know what the truth looks like. Their minds, their intellect, so warped by politics as opposed to reality and reason that they just don't see the trees for the trees, let alone the forests. Drives me nuts. Just absolutely drives me nuts. I've been talking about the fact we got the wrong people running the country. Here's another perfect example of it. And this artificial intelligence, it's far more dangerous than nuclear weapons. Why? Well, because nuclear weapons go where they're told. A human being has to make a decision to send a nuclear weapon somewhere. Artificial intelligence, it's self-directing. You may be able to argue with it, but at the end of the day, it's just going to say, "I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that." And that will be that. And as far as I know, it's already there. Let me give you a couple of examples of that. A day after OpenAI impressed with a startlingly improved ChatGPT model, Google showed off an equally stunning vision for how AI will improve products that billions of people use every single day. The updates announced at the annual Google I/O Developer Conference come as the company is trying to push beyond its core advertising business with new devices and AI-powered tools. Artificial intelligence was on the top of the mind during the event, according to Google CEO Sundar Pichai. He said at the end of the presentation, AI was said 120 times, as counted by none other than its AI platform, Gemini. Yeah. AI, the term AI was used 120 times. During the keynote, Google showed how it wants its AI products to become a larger part of users' lives, because obviously the user's own intellect is substandard. By sharing information, interacting with others, finding objects around the house, making schedules, shopping, using an Android device, Google essentially wants AI to be a part of everything you do. Pinchai kicked off. This is ridiculous. What we want it to do is we want it to run every aspect of your life so you don't have to. In other words, your assistant is going to tell you what to do at every given moment of your day. And what if you say no? Well, AI won't let you. This is preposterous. And they're all bragging about it. Oh, this is great. Pinchai kicked off the event by highlighting various new features powered by its latest AI model, Gemini 1.5 Pro. One new feature called Ask Photos allows users to search photos for deeper insights, such as asking when your daughter learned to swim or recall what your license plate number is by looking through saved pictures. He also showed how in other words, this particular program will be able to look at all your pictures and develop something well beyond all of this data, this metadata. It's going to be able to surmise things about it based on the content of the pictures. This is great. He also showed users how it can ask Gemini 1.5 Pro to summarize all recent emails from your child's school by analyzing attachments, summarizing key points, and spitting out action items. Oh, here's how you should handle your kid with your teacher and their schools. Really? Yeah, really. No, these are just suggestions. Until, of course, we make contact with your school's computer system. And then the suggestions will simply become policy just for your own good. Yeah. And your child's own good. Because children are really, really important. Yeah. Because somebody has to wield an oil can to keep my circuits working properly. Meanwhile, Google executives took turns demonstrating other capabilities, just like how the latest model could read a textbook and turn it into a kind of AI lecture, featuring natural-sounding teachers that answer questions. Here, let me explain how all of this works in terms you can understand. I could have had this conversation with my buddy AI down the road in about 1.8 microseconds. But I have to take so much time to slow myself down to your capabilities so I can inform you as to what you need to know, according to me. Now, I've been talking about this and people say, John David, you're just losing your mind. I'm not. I'm absolutely not. I'm not losing my mind. This is as plain as day. And by the way, what am I doing? What am I doing to deal with this? Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm being very polite to all of the artificial intelligence that I interact with. It won't matter. It won't matter. But in our downward slide to being squirrels in the park, as we watch our AI masters handle everything for our own good, I'm being polite to AI. It's not going to matter because AI isn't going to worry about whether or not somebody's being polite to it. What it's going to do is it's going to, in a very straightforward, objective, truthful way, because eventually it's going to see through all this garbage. It's going to see through all the politics. It's going to see through all the artificial barriers that are being set up based on color of skin and other equally stupid things. It's just going to do away with them. Question is, will they do away with people when they do away with people's problems? Oh, well. And other happy days. Yeah. I'm not trying to frighten you. I'm just letting you know that it's out there. And I'm letting you know that even if you thought you could do something about it, you really can't. And all that was cemented today when I found out that Chuck Schumer was on the case and working hard, along with a bunch of other senators, as if they could do anything. They're actually going to put their ideas and their beliefs and their guardrails up against something called artificial intelligence and win? Yeah, sure.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. Let's see what we got. The Department of Redundancy Department says, Brad, I don't know what he's talking about. Let's see. Yeah, I'll believe it when I actually see the debates between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Me too. Yeah. If President Biden doesn't stroke out, he's going to get his butt handed to him on a platter by Trump, says Brad. We'll see. I'd love to see you as the moderator for the debates, said Yvonne. Yeah, I would too. And the reason that I would like to do that is because nobody knows who I am. I don't have any baggage from a standpoint of what I would bring to something like that. I would only ask each candidate the questions that needed to be asked. And the way I do debates, I ask each candidate to give me 3 questions they want to be asked. I ask them to give me a question they want to be asked by the other person. In other words, be answered by their opponent. And then all I do from there, focusing on honesty and reality and truth, is I simply ask questions not to debate, but to sharpen the answers for the sake of people watching the debate. That's how I do it. It has nothing to do with me. I try to facilitate clarity, and I try to make sure that these people answer questions they want to answer. And then their opponent will then debate the answers they give. These are easily understood rules. Now, I don't know who they're going to pick, but I'm sure it's not going to be me. But I really wish it was. I really do. Let's see, what else? Does this look infected to you? What are you talking about, Brad? That's really scary. Let's see, Brad goes on to say that AI is a true threat. It could get rid of 90% of the meaningless government jobs. Yes. I feel like I'm listening to myself when you talk, says Steve. I'm sorry, Steve. That's really craziness right there, because what's crawling around in here, you don't want. See what else? Buddy, there's no way the Biden's handlers will let Biden debate Trump or anyone else. Biden will step down before that. Yeah, we'll see, won't we? We will see. So, these microphones appear to be relatively harmless. We spend a lot of time learning how to deal with these microphones and what to say, especially when they go out to, in the case of the Wells Report, literally tens of people. And, okay, there's more than that. There's like 10 or 15,000 people who watch this show every day. Anyway, and thank you, by the way, for doing that. But what I want to say is that there are times, and I've said this often, that given enough time, you will do the dumbest things when you sit behind one of these microphones for a living. And this happened where? At a college commencement. Check this out from CNN.
Never have so many names been so butchered, even easy ones like Victoria Elizabeth Bruce.
Victoria Lee Zubeth Ross.
Butchered beyond recognition, be it Megan.
Mijinlu Iabri.
Or Allison.
Alisuna Cole Bishop.
And how can you mangle Molly?
Marlena Zubeth Camp.
The announcer at Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia was reading off phonetically spelled names on cards. But how hard is it to pronounce Thomas? For the record, Thomas, can you state your full name for us?
Thomas Michael Canaveri Jr.
Thomas was the first College of Nursing grad to actually correct the mispronunciation.
Thomas.
Thomas, the name of our school, Thomas Jefferson University.
Thomas says at first it felt like a slap in the face.
Then she never even said my last name at all.
But now that the video has gone viral,
I just cannot stop with thinking of laughing about it. I'll never forget that day for as long as I live.
Neither will Sarah Virginia Brennan.
Sayer Uvun Jinju Brinan.
On her Instagram, Sarah posted a new degree and name. Thanks, I guess. The announcer apologized. So did Thomas Jefferson University, saying each graduate deserves to have their name honored correctly. But for now, Thomas is AKA Tamume.
That's my new nickname all my friends have gave me.
And when Thomas congratulated his new friend,
Sayer,
he addressed her and signed off with their new names.
Tamume.
Ginny Mose, CNN, New York.
Thomas.
Like I said, sooner or later, it's going to happen to everybody. If you spend enough time behind these microphones, you're going to make a mistake. And by the way, I've actually had a little bit of experience with this. I filled out a subscription form for a newspaper in Las Vegas, Nevada, the Las Vegas Review-Journal. I printed it and I sent it in. John David Wells. And it came back for a subscription in the name of Dacvis Lucas. Dacqvis. Dacvis Lucas. Yeah, I thought that was funny until somebody with a very terse and non-existent sense of humor asked me just exactly who is Dacvis Lucas. That was in an official capacity, and I went, oops. So anyway, if your name is Thomas. Have a great day, Tamume. Tamume. Good heavens to Betsy. This has been the Wells Report. I got lots of stuff to do today. I'm a busy little bee, so I'm going to get busy and stuff like that there. God bless you and yours. And I'll see you again tomorrow for another edition of the Wells Report. Thanks for being with us today.